So my apologies. I'm just going to start again. So I just want to welcome everyone. It's really nice to see everyone today. We've had a beautiful turnout. Not that I wouldn't expect anything else for Marcelle. I am recording this and this will be available on YouTube. For those who get our Synagogue newsletter, it will be there. So if you know someone who's missed out, otherwise you can get my contact details from Marcelle and I'm happy to send you the link. So welcome everyone. It's really, really nice to see all these beautiful faces here. For those who don't know me, I'm Joanne Levy, President of the Synagogue, Sephardi Synagogue, and we're here to meet Marcelle and to learn a little bit more about her. As I was saying before, we can do question and answer, but Marcelle wanted to share something really important with you, some stories and some kindness, and I just love that she wanted to do this. If you have any questions, just type them in or just keep a note of them and we'll have some time after if anyone has any questions. So we'll just let Marcelle speak and then we'll go through some questions and do some question and answer. And if there's no questions, I'm sure Marcelle will have lots to talk about. So also thanks to her son Jack in the background who's there. Hi Jack, nice to see you. So I'm just going to put the spotlight onto you now, Marcelle, and thank you very much. This is absolutely beautiful.
Today I want to share with you memories of acts of kindness that I witnessed when I was growing up in Egypt in the late 1920s, the 1930s and the 1940s. First of all, I want to mention my mother. This incredible woman. She was a devoted wife, a fantastic mother, an excellent cook and pastry maker, a compassionate woman, a healer, a mediator, and a doctor. We lived in a 2-bedroom flat, mother, father, and 5 kids. But somehow our home was a kind of free shelter for Jewish women victim of violence or an injustice by their fellow men. I remember 3 such women. First, our neighbor, Rosie. She's married, happily married, a loving husband, but she couldn't conceive. And from time to time, her husband would go crazy and divorce her. And of course, he was allowed divorce because it was always the fault of the woman. And then he would miss her and he would remarry her. And then again, he would go crazy. And it went on. And every time she found shelter in our place in her bad moment, you know. And my mother looked after her 2-3 days at a time. Another woman was a gentle woman, Tofaha. And she was married to a brute who would beat her up whenever he felt like doing so. And she would run away and try to hide in anybody's place. And most of the time she ended up in our place too, and my mother looked after her for a few days. And once I remember she was in our place and her husband came to look for her, and she heard his footsteps and she was terrified. So she ran and hid under the bed. And I was maybe 4 or 5 years old, and I didn't know what was all this commotion was about. And I ran after her and hid under the bed with her, thinking that we were playing hide and seek. The third one was a widow living with her son and daughter-in-law, and she didn't get on all right with her daughter-in-law. So whenever there was an altercation between the 2 women, the man would beat up his mother, and she would come to us for a bit of help and compassion. My mother, Luli Levi, OBM, and I only found out recently that you get the title OBM after you die. She never had 1 day schooling because she was born in 1889 in Iraq, where they didn't believe that the girl needed any education. If she had had some education, this woman would have been somebody with her intelligence, her sharp mind, her excellent memory. She would have been either a scientist or another Dr. Freud or maybe a Golda Meir. Anyhow, she never had any training in medicine, and yet she was the undisputed, unconventional doctor of the district for many, many years. And she was on call 24 hours a day, and all her services were free of charge. She had a treatment for everything. If you have a headache, she would place 2 copper coins on your temple and secure them well with a scarf or a band, and a little while after, your headache disappears. If you are bleeding to death, she would fill the wound with the coffee, ground coffee, till the blood stops. If you had bronchitis or pneumonia or water on your lungs, she would apply cupping, and that was very successful. If you have a sore tummy, it was a little bit of methylated spirit. If you twist your ankle, you sprain your ankle, quick she brings you a beautiful hot pancake, not to eat, but to put around the injured part. And the one treatment that was 100% good was the treatment for tonsillitis. She always had ready some iodine and some glycerin and pieces of clean material that she wrapped around her 2 fingers, dipped it in this concoction, and opened the mouth of the sick person, and she would swab and paint all the tonsils thoroughly. And believe it or not, a quarter or half an hour after, the fever would disappear and the tonsils would go back to normal. Yeah. What was this? And another thing that she did, and it might discuss some of you, is the treatment of with urine. If you were coughing non-stop and not being able to sleep, and after everything else has been tried, hot drink, honey, cough syrup, she would give you some urine to drink. Yes, and I made some research in the internet recently, and that's what I found. Many ancient medical and cultural practices in places like Egypt, China, and India consider drinking urine, one's own or someone else's, as a treatment for asthma, arthritis, allergies, acne, indigestion, migraine, wrinkles, and a host of other conditions. You are. Now, more of act of kindness. In 1933, it was the big depression everywhere. People were losing their jobs. My father lost his job. He couldn't work anymore. He couldn't provide for us. So in desperation, he went all the way to Palestine to find some work. And he stayed there for 4 years. The first 2 years were the hardest. And my sister and brother-in-law stepped in and looked after us, and financially and emotionally. My brother-in-law wasn't a rich man. He just made a living. But thanks to them, we survived. There was another woman also called Habiba, friend of my mother. She pleaded our cause to other people and brought us some parcels of clothing, food, everything. Thank God, but after 2 years, my 2 brothers and sisters started working and we were all right. We didn't need all this. And after that, in 1939, my brother-in-law lost his business, and my sister started selling her jewelry to pay for food, put food on the table and to pay for the rent. And when my mother heard that, she stepped in. We gave up our 2-bedroom flat and we took a big flat, 4-bedroom, 4 enormous bedroom, so that she could accommodate my sister, her husband, and the 2 children, and then 5 children under 9. And the last act of kindness I want to talk to you about is about my sister. While she was in difficulty financially and she was living with us and she needed every financial help herself, she was walking in the street one day and I was walking behind her. And I saw that she was carrying something. She was carrying bread that she just bought for her family who needed it. And she passed a beggar and she dropped in his lap one of this bread. And it touched me so much. And this I called an act of kindness, because it wouldn't have impressed me if you had said to me the Pratts or the Smorgan gave millions of dollars charity. It doesn't make a hole in their in the finance, but for my sister to give a loaf of bread to a beggar when she needed it herself, that was a beautiful gesture. And these are all the things that I wanted to share with you today, some of the act of kindness that I witnessed. And I hope you enjoyed my talk. That's all. You can ask me questions now if you want.
Marcelle, that was
I'm listening to Jim now.
amazing. That was amazing, Marcelle. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put everyone so I can look at everyone. So I'm going to start. I don't want everyone to just, if you've got a question, either type it in or put your hand up, and then I'll start unmuting you. So first, thank you, Marcelle. That was incredible. And I think for us having just gone through this COVID nightmare, and feeling like it's the end of the world, and I'm not trying to disparage how bad it has been, but then when you hear what your family has been through and what other women have been through, I think that we're pretty lucky to have gone through this pandemic where we are at this given time, as opposed to the 1930s and 40s. So is anyone, not everyone is, I can see everyone, but if you have a question, do you want to put your hand up and then I can unmute you and then you can ask a question? Just looking around. Yep, Joyce, I'll go for you first, and then Hannah, you can go next. Joyce, just a moment, I'm just unmuting you. Just a moment, you need to unmute yourself. Just a moment. You're not unmuted yet. Joyce, I'll just go to Hannah first and then I'll do you next, okay? Hannah, do you want to ask your question, please?
Yes, I'm very interested in traditional and cultural medicine, and so I was very interested to hear what Marcelle said. Sorry I came in a bit late, I've been painting the fence. But I wonder if Marcelle could write down these cures for us, because, yeah, if you don't mind.
With pleasure, with pleasure.
It's very helpful. I especially like that one about tonsillitis, because
it is 100% good, because I saw it many times done. People very sick would call my mother, and half an hour after they called and thank us and say the child is okay now. The fever goes and the tonsillitis go all right. That's
great.
Can I say that from a personal point of view, sorry to interrupt you, Hannah, I have the cupping done, and I know that Rosine as well, when we've been sick or had, and it really does work. It is unbelievable when you have any infection or anything on your chest, the cupping, it lifts out the infection. Sorry, Hannah, do you want to go back? Sorry to interrupt you.
No, I was just going to say, I use a lot of herbal remedies myself, and but for my grandchildren, I mean, for me with tonsillitis, I just have a swig of whiskey, to be honest, and that fixes me. But for grandchildren, I'm sure they would love it, but sounds more appropriate. So I would love it if perhaps you could write them down and send them to us. That would be
with pleasure.
I think that would be really good. Thank you, Hannah. That's really great. Joyce, I can see that you're off mute. Would you like to ask a question?
Okay. Yeah. My question is, Marcelle, where did you grow up?
When did I grow up? In Cairo, yes. Egypt.
In Cairo. And did you live all your life in Cairo?
Yes.
Where in Cairo did you live?
Till I came to Australia, all my short life.
But where in Cairo did you live? Do you remember?
Where in Cairo? Where?
We lived in first in Mosque, you know, and then we shifted to Daher.
I don't know.
And when I wasn't long married there. I mean, because I came to Australia, I lived in Heliopolis.
Oh, right.
Yes.
So
that's
when did you
after I got married? Yeah.
So which year did you come to Australia?
March 1949.
Oh, I grew up in Cairo.
Long time ago.
I was born in Cairo. Yeah. And I left when I was 10 or 11, and we lived in Zamalek, which is over the bridge.
That's a very poshy place. Like
yes, I
agree. Very high class.
And we also went to school there, and at the time, and I don't know that I've never been back, I remember going with our maid to gardens that were grottos. There were beautiful gardens in Zamalek. And there was also the primary school, lycée, and we walked there. And I also remember, so in 1954, in our apartment building, a Russian family moved in, and those two very handsome boys walked with us to the French school, the French primary school, and I think that was the beginning of Russians coming into Egypt and helping them with their logistics and ammunition and airplanes and so on. So that's and so I grew up there. But then I was born in 1945, and we did not go to shul. When I left at 10 or 11, we never went to shul because the shuls were sort of semi-closed. Because after 48, there was no.
What year was that?
We left in 56, but I remember in my childhood, maybe I was a girl, but really very few people went to shul because everything was sort of, the Jews were very quiet. They didn't want to be seen. So I don't remember. I remember we lived, my grandparents lived in Yat al-Yahud. Do you know that? Remember that?
Yahud.
Yeah, yes, that's where they lived, my grandparents on my father's side. So that's the only time we went into a different area. And it was completely different. It was, in the middle of the Arab, was a Jewish area, but it became an Arab area later on. But my grandparents stayed there because they moved there in 1920 from Israel, from Sat. And that's the only time we went into a different part of the city. And we visited my grandparents. But otherwise, we lived in this, green world, completely. Although we went to the pyramids, we did a few things that saw the rest of Cairo, but basically we lived in a very small enclave. Yeah.
Thank you,
so that's
Joyce.
why I wanted to know where you was interested.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that with us. I have a question from Rivka here. I think a few of us are interested, and I actually had the same question. So jinx to Rivka. She wanted to know about you making your Rosket biscuits, which are pretty famous, or the Kaka biscuits. And she wants to know who taught you. I would like to know that too.
Nobody taught me cooking.
Really?
It's all by trial and error.
What about with your mum? You didn't do cooking with your mum?
She did, but she never wanted anybody in the kitchen with her. And when I was growing up and I loved her cooking, I said, Mom, how do you do this? Tell me. Oh, you have plenty of time. When you get married, I will teach you. And when I got married, I wasn't long in Egypt. And when we came here, I felt completely lost. I couldn't even boil an egg.
Wow.
I'd never been in the kitchen cooking. And I never did. And so I tried. For instance, the first time I made the thing that you love and Jack loves, this with the dates, the menena, it was as hard as a rock. Oh. Absolutely, you throw it on the granite floor and it bounces back. And then I asked questions to people. Why is it always put a bit more shortening, put a bit more this, put a bit more flour, a bit more water. That's how I learned. Nobody ever taught me how to do anything.
That's amazing because you're so well known within, the Sephardi community as being this amazing cook. And we just all assumed that, you'd been taught or, by your mum or by grandmother or something. So, and is that with all your biscuits and with all your cooking, with everything you've just taught, it's all been self-taught?
Most of it. Sometimes I ask questions if I go wrong, but then I ask the expert, why did this go wrong? And that's how I learned. Then I try again till now I can make the rusk with my eyes closed.
I know, and they're delicious.
So we have to make sure we try it and come and ask you what went wrong. It's very important.
Yeah, so Rivka was saying that she, I'm sure that Rivka, that it's fine for you to come and ask Marcelle if you have any questions just regarding your biscuits. We'll have to do a cooking demonstration at a later stage, Marcelle.
Yeah. And can I also ask, like, when you were growing up, can you tell us a bit about growing up in Egypt and when you went to school and what that was like there? I'm interested in that.
I can only remember happy times, wonderful times, surrounded by a family, loving brothers and sisters, everybody. The door was open, as I said, people were coming and going. I was okay at school. I went to Jewish school in the beginning and then to a high class school because I got a scholarship for the second school. And I had a very, very happy life in Egypt. I don't mean rich life or anything because I'm not ashamed to say we were poor, but I had a good life. I wish it for every kid to have a life that I had. No confidence about my life in Egypt. But it was entirely different life from the life I saw here in Australia. Different culture, different way of behaving, different. I had to learn to live here, with all the new customs. It was difficult for me at the beginning, yes. Yeah.
Thank you. Does anyone else, do you want to put up your hand? Does anyone else have a question? I'm just mindful we've only got 5 minutes left. I want to make sure that if anyone has a question, just looking around the room. Oh, hang a minute. I'll just unmute you, Joyce. Just bear with me. Joyce, just unmute yourself. No, we can't hear you. No. She's
I'm muting myself. That's it.
Yeah. Hello.
Marcelle, what language did you speak at home?
I spoke French and I spoke Arabic. These were my main languages because Arabic with all the servants. My mother didn't speak French, so I had to speak to her mother and father in Arabic. But all of us, we spoke in French with my friends in French. Schooling was French, as you know, because you come from Egypt. And that's what the main language of the time. And I did all my studies in French and second language, English. Yeah. And when I came here, I was already educated in English. So it wasn't something. Yeah.
How old were you, Marcelle, when you came to Australia? Oh, sorry, Joyce. How old were you when you came to Australia?
I was 25.
Oh, so you're 25.
No, yeah, 25. Not quite 25, yeah.
Right.
My question was about your mother. You said she was born in Iraq. So did she speak Arabic, your mother, at home? You said she didn't speak French, or you spoke Arabic as your mother spoke Arabic as well as
my mother came from Iraq.
Yes,
she spoke Iraqi when she was in Iraqi company, and she spoke Egyptian, Arabic Egyptian when she spoke with other people. So I learned both languages. Yeah.
So what's the difference between Iraqi and Egyptian Arabic?
It's pronunciation.
A few words are different too, no? And it is a bit different, but you can understand each other, right? Usually, yeah.
Right. Okay.
For instance, in Arabic we say "oltello." We told him, and we say, and in Iraq is "coltello." Everything is "ko." Yeah. That's exactly what.
And did your mother learn French as well?
My mother,
not?
My mother
Yes.
not. My mother married. She was not even 14 when she married. At 16, she had already 2 kids, and she had 10 kids of her own. She had no time to learn anything. We many times we tried to teach her French. She would laugh and she said, "Leave me alone. Leave me alone. I haven't got time," because she was so busy.
And your father, where did he come from?
My father, what?
Your father?
From Iraq too. Yeah.
Oh.
Both.
But he learned another language. Did he learn French himself, or did he speak another language?
My father, the only language he learned is the Torah. That's all.
Oh, both of them spoke.
He was expert. He should have been a rabbi, but other languages, no. They could read and write Hebrew, yes, yeah. But he had no skill. I beg your pardon?
Sorry. Do you remember a lot of Arabic?
A lot of, sorry, again?
Do you remember a lot of Arabic? Can you speak Arabic now?
Of course, I speak like a little Arabic now. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I haven't forgotten anything. I haven't forgotten the language.
Marcelle, we've got an extra question here. we want to know why your parents went to Egypt from Iraq.
Well, from what I understood from them that my father went to live in Egypt because he didn't want to be in the army or something, and his parents were already in Egypt, and then my mother followed him 2 years, a year after or whatever. Yeah.
Yes, so they used to conscript the very young boys even to fight with the Turks against the British at that point. Yes, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Can you believe that we've almost finished our half an hour? We've got so many more questions to ask. I know a couple of people came in a bit late. So for those who missed the beginning, I am recording this session and it will be available on YouTube. I will be sending out the link so you can go and watch the beginning. And I'm just so happy that everyone is here. You know, one of the things that's really important to me is capturing all these stories and recording them. So, you know, this is going to be amazing. You know, we've got these amazing people in our synagogue and I really want to capture it. In fact, I even want to get to a point where we have a book and also do some of the recipes. So Marcelle, I want you to think about if there's any of your recipes that you want to share with us. And as Hannah has said, you're going to have to start writing down some of those herbal remedies, because it's funny, you know, because some of the things that you're talking about is some of the stuff that my dad spoke about. So you've got a bit of homework. I know that Hannah was interested. I'm interested. So do you mind?
Did you like the do'a?
Oh, as if I wouldn't love the do'a. So yeah, everyone's going, yeah, as if, and the banana. So, but you'll have to think about maybe a couple of recipes if you're prepared to share them with us. So we can do that. And that was just amazing. Like just your insights. Seriously, we could have been speaking for about another 2 hours. And just so for everyone, so we're doing this every fortnight, and in 2 weeks' time, we're meeting Hannah. You can see her there with a light above there. Yep, she's giving us a wave. Excellent. And that's also another one. I swear we could probably talk for about 2 hours, but we've only got half an hour. And she's got amazing backstory, amazing history. So even though you may not know Hannah, I hope you'll be able to come in and join us and listen to her story. I just want to thank everyone for coming in today. It's just been amazing, beautiful to see everyone and to socialise. I hope you got a chance to sort of learn a little bit more about Marcelle. I know we all know her really well, but just to get to know her a little bit more. Okay, so as I said, I'll be uploading this into YouTube. If you want to get in contact with me, just ask Marcelle. She's got my details. I can send you out the link, or for those who get the Synagogue newsletter, it will be in there, which will be going out in the next day or two, or it'll also be on our Facebook page. Excellent. So beautiful to see everyone. Marcelle, thank you so much. So beautiful. This was just amazing and such a wonderful insight. And I know that everyone just sends you their love and you are just so adored by all of us.
Thank you very much.
Can I ask a question?
Oh yeah, who's that? Sorry, someone's asking. Oh, sorry, Rosa. Yes, quick. Yes.
I would love to see a photo of her mum.
Oh, can you send me? I can get it from Jack. Jack, and Marcelle, can you send me a photo and then we can share it out after? We want to see a photo of your parents. I don't know if you've got one close by, or can you send it to me and I'll share it out?
Yeah, we will. We will. Yeah.
Okay, beautiful. Jack, if you can send that to me and then I can share it out from there.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you, everyone. Good to see you all. Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.